Hello everyone and welcome to listen Daoist Neigong Narcissism on Steroids podcast. In this podcast we will be looking the narcissistic personality style, like what it really is all about, and I suppose we better go quickly through what personality style generally tells us about the person, like what it is combined within, and the developmental aspects of the narcissism, like the childhood, like what happens there, just briefly. We will go deeper a little bit later on, and then the typical the characteristics, how we define the narcissism, and what is typically understood to be the key or core aspects of this personality. So what does personality really tell us? What is it composed from? It is the characteristics, it is the behavior models, it is our emotional makeup, it is social interactions, moral, ethics, values and belief systems. It is our self-esteem and self-awareness, our fluidity or adaptability, or lack of it in case of the narcissistic personality style. It is also partially how we learn different things, how we work, how we study and so forth. It really is also, the potential for the personal growth. So, narcissistic personality style, we have the core, which I suppose you could say true self, but some professionals on the field kind of say that narcissist does not have self, but I will not go there. So in this I will be talking about the core, you could say true self, versus the false self, like that grandiose defense mechanisms which have been built on top of the core, to hide the core, to hide who they really are. So within the core of narcissist there is complex post-traumatic stress disorder because of the difficult childhood. There is deeply rooted shame. There is restricted and hidden emotions because they were not allowed to show their emotions. Of course, all of this leads that the child from very early on learns to pretend to be something or to feel something else, what they are not being or feeling and so forth. So they do learn the lying, pretending, and of course this is the pathway to the deception, what the narcissists are very well known of on later days within their lives, And of course the fourth component to me is that, which is hugely problematic, of course, from later on. In children this is the way how they survive as a coping mechanism, so they will escape into the imaginary world. So this is the core, but we will go deeper. And what from this tricky core comes? If we look the complex post-traumatic stress disorder, whether we look it from the Western medicine point of view or the Chinese medicine point of view, so we are really talking about fear, which is your kidneys. We are talking fear and trauma, I should add, which is your kidneys. We are talking about stress, I mean complex post-traumatic stress disorder. So the liver in Chinese medicine, of course, is all to do with how we cope the stress, and really the organ this is most affected, and you could say like which is generating the stress responses within the body, within the mind, within our being. And then, of course, there is the anxiety, and it is more complex, but I will put, of course, that under the heart. So we have those complex mechanisms in place. And as it is said in Western medicine, that severe trauma disturbs or changes the DNA, like how the DNA will be unfold, basically. So there will be changes because of the trauma, because of the shock into the system. The same model is also placed in Chinese medicine. And we call this, kidney qing aspect. So there is a freezing of the kidney qing. And this happens, of course, mainly within the emotional development, if we are talking about narcissistic personality style. I mean, some other cases, and of course some narcissists may suffer also this, is that actually even the body, like the normal unfolding of the development of the bodily, like structural stuff, can actually freeze in place. So this is also there. But in narcissism, it is mainly that emotional development that will get stuck at the age of, well, we are talking about child, like it really depends how the unfolding of their life, like the first years went and the rest of the childhood to the adolescence and to the adulthood. But we are often talking about, some of the freezing, maybe like the first 3 years are the, I suppose, most crucial. So there are those aspects that are still in place from the age of toddler, basically, and 4, 5, 6, possibly they may reach the maturity of the 9-year-old child. So this is the freezing of the kidney qing aspect within narcissism, or you could say like the DNA changes that the trauma will do to these people. There is deeply rooted shame. These people have been shamed, blamed, humiliated again and again and again. It has not been a safe environment. So, of course, they are not allowed to show their true emotions, the healthy emotions that the child will go through. So this will, of course, cause also the restriction within the emotions. And so that they will start to hide emotion from their parents, from the outside world. And really, this will lead that they are not really fully aware of their own emotional makeup too. Of course, this is way more complicated because there is that freezing of the kidney qing aspect, which is also affecting to the emotional development. So it never matures to the the normal adult, more sophisticated model of the emotional makeup, you could say, I suppose. And of course, when they are not allowed to be who they are, so the heart cannot express or show or live as they really are, as they really feel. So they will have to pretend. So they learn to lie, deceive. They have to. It's a coping mechanisms, But at this way, they will also get more positive feedback. So it is giving like a green light to this road, to choose the road of the lying and pretending. So when I said few episodes ago that the escaping into imaginary world, that was their safe place to play and be, and kind of let loose. Kind of a similar thing happens with the lying. They get more positive feedback when they lie, when they pretend to be something what they are not. And of course this is huge problem later on. I mean huge problem. But of course the adults, the parents, they are having their own struggles when the people when this child is born into family like this. So it is difficult, and this is something that we will need to look a little bit closer, or probably a much closer. And of course, the energetics I did give within, the fear and stress and anger, what it does. But we will also go deeper in that. This is kind of our introduction to the narcissistic personality style. So, of course, this lays the foundation for them to building the false self. I mean, using the power of the imagination. Oh, yes, I forgot the more detailed version, escaping into imaginary world. Like, of course, this is a healthy, normal mechanism in place when we are talking about children and, and how they cope traumas. It is very, very different than adults. They do play the traumas throughout the games and playing. It is how they try to make sense what happened to them, So that also comes kind of almost like a safe place where they find the comfort. But of course, it becomes hugely problematic when these sort of systems are still playing out and in place when you are adult. So they do learn from early on to be something else. Like fulfill the expectations of the parents or parenting models, the caregiver models, what they are expecting. So they are trying to mold themselves and to adjust themselves to the wishes and needs and hopes and expectations of the parental figures. And interestingly, this is exactly something what happens to the people who are in narcissistic relationships. So they do end up trying to mold themselves so they would be in line with what they think that the narcissist wants. But of course, they do not have a stability within their being, nor a strong core, nor anything solid within them. It is all in flux because it doesn't rely on straight path like the strong values, moral, ethics, and the behavior model and how you treat others and so forth. Because there ain't anything in place. It is all in flux depending on the situation, how they can if it's difficult situation, how they can minimize the stress in that moment. So of course they learned the typical lying, and this becomes of course the future faking and whatever branches it may take in that moment. So yes, the grandiosity is there to protect and it is built-in mechanism, survival mechanism. So narcissist personality style is known of entitlement, grandiosity, superficiality, pride and arrogance. And of course, from pride and arrogance, when you understand the energetics, which I will be sharing also a little bit later on. I mean, I'm big with the energetics. I love how things have been unfolding, and that is kind of my main focus to share that. So the pride is the huge problem, and when you understand energetics and what other pathways arise because of the pride, you can understand why the Bible says, it is one of the 7 deadly sins, because it is the doorway to all other harmful, negative, self-centered, emotional models, which can and will turn detrimental to other human beings around, and also for the narcissist, him or herself. They do seek, they need, chronically, they need attention, admiration, and validation. They lack empathy. And if they do show empathy, it's kind of a transactional empathy. So they can pretend and play and, process, like from love and actually caring that another individual. It is always there to serve the narcissistic person's needs. So when they are empathetic or loving or kind, compassionate, or kind of apply these beautiful emotional qualities to the people, they will get what they want. So it is all about strategy. What do I need to show to these people to get what I want, basically. There are, of course, the emotional model is, often there are some freezing at the level of the toddler. So they do have poor frustration tolerance, like they are very irritable and prone to anger and rage. And of course, they do become very revengeful and vindictive. They also have, almost like obsessive level of need for power over others. And they are willing to do whatever it takes to manipulate, to lie, deceive, to dominate, to force their will upon the people so that they could mold the world so it would be pleasing for them. So the pathological lying, of course, that is one of the clear signs of the trauma in early childhood or in childhood. So the pathological lying, cunning, deceiving, and this will of course lead into the betrayal. I mean, that all is there. So I suppose this is just quickly gone through, what the narcissistic personality style is and what personality style tells us about. And we will be building on, the energetics from different models, and how they are built. I don't have like full understanding, from kind of a revealed understanding from the energetics that happens within the childhood. So the model won't be perfect from those ends. And of course, each has their own kind of energetics, but they do have certain extremely strong lines, and then there are those more like you could say minor variations, and depending on which direction they developed. So I have a few different pathways to offer you, like what leads where and so forth. So I hope this is good enough introduction for the narcissistic personality style for now, and I will be building on top of this within time, within the depth that it deserves. And I am lacking, of course, for some areas, but I will give the understanding that I have received. Thank you for your time and have a blessed day.